Well, hello, Arbinger family. How we doing today? This is an awesome, awesome event, and I'm so humbled to be here today. It's funny, my wife said to me when I was going, so you going to your therapy class today? I said, no, I'm going to Arbinger. She was like, no, that's therapy. Because every time I'm thankful because it's kept me married for 20 years here. So today, now I'm going to talk to us about the danger of silence. And the reason I chose this topic is because I've learned that I can make silence a lethal weapon. And when you're silent, things kind of never go well. So I'm going to tell the story just through my journey as the superintendent in Metro Nashville Public Schools over the course of these past 3 years. An amazing, amazing experience, but one that definitely taught me lots about silence. So to start, I'm going to bring us to one of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s speeches, where once he said, or one of his quotes, and he once said that in the end, we will not remember the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends. I love that quote because it really talks about the fact that silence can actually become a weapon if you're not careful about it. And, with my journey with Arbinger, what I have learned is that I can, in fact, do that. I actually, before I was the superintendent in Metro Nashville Public Schools, I was a deputy superintendent for teaching and learning in Prince George's County. Before that, I was a superintendent in Seaford, Delaware. And then I spent 17 years of my life in Montgomery County, Maryland, where I was a teacher and I went up to supervising 34 schools. And it was in Montgomery County, Maryland, that I first learned about Arbinger. It was actually one of my colleagues when I was becoming the principal of the largest, most diverse, kind of one of the most challenging schools in that district. When I became principal, she gave me a book. She said her husband worked for the CIA. And she talked to him and told him, all about me and that I was going to take on this real challenging principalship. And he said, he might benefit from this book. And they gave me Leadership and Self-Deception. And I read it and I was like, holy cow, I'm pretty messed up. How the heck am I going to go lead, these kids in this school and so forth? And that was in 2005. And right after that, I immediately read The Anatomy of Peace. I even read Terry C. Warner's book, The Bonds That Make Us Free. And that one, it took me about 3 years to read, for those of you that have read it. Because after every 2 pages, I kept crying and saying how terrible I was. But I got through it. And when I went to Prince George's County, that's when I really started engaging with Arbinger at a more systems kind of level, thinking about this work. So when I went to Prince George's County, I went in and I probably had the interview of a lifetime because I had Arbinger at the forefront of my mind, and I was talking to them about the fact that we've got to put kids first, and we've got to see our kids, we've got to see our people, and we can and will make a difference. And I had, the board crying, rolling, they're like, we got to get him. This is awesome. It's going to be great. So the board hires me unanimously, and then I start talking to them about Arbinger. There's a way we can really work together to do some great things. And the majority of the board actually came with me, and we all got Arbinger trained. We got our certifications to be able to train within the district, and we said we were going to just live the Arbinger way and just totally make life better for 86,000 children, 11,000 employees, and things were just going to be great. And it struck me yesterday when Mitch was up here and he talked about the fact that we've got to do more than just kind of get through the trainings. We've got to apply it, and it's in the application, where the challenges were. Because when we started off, again, people were beyond excited. I was the first African American to be the superintendent of Metro Nashville Public Schools, so there was a lot of hoopla about that and excitement, and they were just all types of positive news ads about, students were doing tributes of me and things that were going viral, and the board came back from the Arbinger training and they said, we're going to commit to building a better board and we're going to take steps to just make things better. People were asking Dr. Joseph, what do you want? What can we do to help you make things work out? And, we were doing listen and learns and all the great things. and we just thought we were going to be moving forward. I mean, everybody was happy, life was good, and then, 3 years later, so it's like I came in and everybody was just kind of hailing. And here it is 3 years later. I'm no longer superintendent, right? I told you I got this. I have a company with an LLC now because my Good Friday did come. And there was that moment where things just kind of changed. So, in reflection, you might ask, well, what happened? What happened? Right? 3 years, like you came in, they were hailing you. Like what happened in between there? And the answer, really falls in leadership. Leadership, and it's something that I really have to take responsibility for, because the fact is, and you know this, no organization exceeds the capacity of its leader. Without question, no matter what, that's why leadership is so important in any industry, right? And one of the things leaders have to be mindful of, and this is what makes Arbinger so special, is because if a leader understands the dangers of the box and the dangers of leading within the box, and more importantly, if a leader understands and recognizes when they're going in the box and is actively fighting to get out, there's a chance that things can be better. And that was a missed opportunity. So over the course of those 3 years, I showed you the great headlines as we started, and as we started to end, the new headlines, if you were to just kind of like Google my name right now, and there are literally over 300 articles on the Nashville experience there. You'd have articles like, MMPS board gets heated over, school director's future, or, Dr. Joseph under attack, constant attack in Metro Nashville, or, the Nashville School Board readies to fight over the future of the director. I love this one. Cherry trees are more important than Nashville's Shawn Joseph. So that one was about, we had the draft in Metro Nashville, in Nashville, and they took down some cherry trees so they could build out the stage. And people went nuts. I mean, thousands and thousands of people were writing about, how can you take down the cherry trees? And people were saying, well, God, we got a school system crisis here that nobody's got to write about or talking about. But it was just an interesting opportunity, just in terms of, perspective. But those challenges made me really think about the impact of leadership. And the fact is, a leader's inability or refusal to acknowledge his or her impact on an organization has an effect. And as I stop and reflect upon, my experiences, when I knew that there were collusionary efforts that were happening, and collusionary efforts that I was actually leading, problems started. So you all know this slide, right? Let's suppose that I'm in the box towards someone. What do I see? I see an object. And what do? I start blaming. And how do people often respond to when they are blamed? Well, then they see an object, and what do? They start blaming, and then that cycle continues. And we know that we simply call that a collusion, which is a conflict where parties are inviting the very thing they're complaining about, and it's driven by this need for justification. And I knew that. I knew that. Right? I knew it, and I just couldn't help myself. Goodness gracious, I couldn't help it. So there are some lessons that have been learned for me. One most importantly, that as a leader, when you lead those collusionary efforts, nothing good will happen. Nothing, absolutely, positively nothing. Also, it is the only hope. And again, that's why I just loved being here this week and reminding us of the most important move, right? Because it doesn't matter what people are doing to you. You can't control that. What you can control is yourself, right? You can control how you respond to that stuff. Again, you know it, but in the heat of the emotions and everything that's happening, sometimes you just need those reminders. What makes public education so complex and so difficult is the fact that you have lots of constituencies that you're accountable to. So the typical school superintendent has to respond to a school board, social organizations, a mayor, a governor, nonprofits, civic organizations. There's the business community, state representatives, the state board of education. You have your teachers, your students, your state superintendent. And all of those individuals have goals. And they have things that they want, and they have needs. And as a superintendent, you've got to stop and be able to think about all of those constituencies and help get those constituencies lined up. And it's not just in education. I'm sure in all of your fields, you have stakeholders who are very important that you have to see, and if you don't see them, there can be a problem. And one of the big challenges is when you have all of these individuals, and all of these individuals have outer boxes and things that they need and want, when they start moving in a different direction, and you have them going everywhere in all different directions, it's hard to just focus and get everything aligned. But the hope of Arbinger, for me, is that I think it's the best tool that I have ever seen, and I've been doing this for 23 years. It is without question the best tool to get everybody aligned to the same direction, so you can actually focus and have a hope of getting to what your goals are. And in the public school system, it's making sure we meet the needs of our kids. So in my deep reflection over these past few months, one of the things I realized is that I might be a little schizophrenic. Because when I think of, sometimes I say, I don't know if I'm in a box. I might be like locked in a vault somewhere, just kind of like deep down with some folks. And it was definitely the case when I thought about my inward styles with different entities. I mean, when I thought about the work that I had with my school board, and I will say, I had without question the best school board president in America. Dr. Shawn Joseph, she's here. She's actually one of our senior consultants for Arbinger. Can we give her a round of applause? So I can honestly say I'd never been in the box with her, but some of my members, I was all the way in. And like I said, my weapon of choice, the thing that got me, was silence. It was silence. I mean, I just recently rewatched Jim Farrell's TED Talk. How many of you have seen that before? He has this TED Talk on, I think it's called The Heart of Change or something, and in it he starts off with "We like problems." And I remember when I saw it a few years ago, I was like, nah, that's crazy. And then I said, I'll be damned, he's right. Right. Not only do we like problems, I said, I went into this like pure craziness. I got so crazy. Now, believe this. Hey, let me tell you something. I didn't speak to 3 board members for 1 year. Now think about this. How many of you have never spoke to your boss like for a full year? You said nothing to them just like they didn't exist. Raise your hand if you did that. That's probably why you're still employed. And I am. And I'm no longer there. Yeah, but in that moment of just pure lunacy, I was clearly in that better than box, particularly with those 3 individuals, because I said, how dare them try to tell me what to do to move reading instruction. Like, I got a degree from Johns Hopkins University in reading. Like, every place I've been, I've gotten results. I've been the principal of the year in the state of Maryland. I did this, I did that, I did this. How dare them? You know what? I'm just not going to listen to them. Matter of fact, don't call me because I'm not answering. Like, just really, totally, and said, I was playing a risky game that a lot of superintendents play, and I got 9 board members. If I don't have 3, all I got to do is keep 5. But that was the craziness I was thinking in the box. Like, it was okay to go ahead and do that, which of course we know it wasn't. As I looked at my community, I clearly went into the I deserve box. I was looking at them, kind of thinking like, oh my God, why don't you do something? Don't you see how they're treating me? Like, they're awful. You see how they're coming after me and running, and you're not doing anything about it. And I got kind of mad at them and felt like you guys just don't appreciate me. I mean, I came all the way up here from Maryland down to Tennessee to work with you all, and you all don't respect everything that I'm doing. Just totally in that mode. As I thought about my other stakeholders, like the chamber and the mayor's office, I mean, I definitely was in that need to be seen as moment. I actually, in 3 years, I had 865 community meetings with different entities. I mean, because I was like obsessed and determined to constantly be out, to be present, and to have people know that I'm out. I know what I'm talking about. I know what we're doing. And it was my need to be seen as just in overdrive, like just constant breakfast, lunch, dinner, just constantly out in the community, because I wanted to know, even though people were seeing the craziness that was happening, I was trying to present this image of we're still in control. I mean, yeah, I don't talk to 3, but we're still in control. We got this. We're going to be doing great. But I think the biggest challenge came with my family, right? Because with my family, I think I definitely went into that worse than box because you got your kids and your family and everybody seeing what's happening, like you're on the news every day. And of course, I have 2 kids, one that's an 11th grader and one that was a 7th grader that were in the system. So every day you come home. I mean, I got home one day and I sat down, and my son, he came and he kind of sat next to me and put his arm on my shoulder, and he was like, "How you doing today, Dad?" I was like, "Isaiah, I'm okay." He was like, "Yeah, you don't watch the news, do you?" I said, "Oh, I try not to watch it." He said, "Yeah, you don't want to watch it, Dad. You don't want to watch it. But I don't think you're appreciated." But the sad thing, in hindsight, I mean, at the end of the day, when you look at where we ended 3 years from where we started, I mean, reading scores dramatically increased. Suspensions went down. We increased the number of kids who are actually coming to school on time. Every student grew in math performance faster than the state for the first time in the history of the district. And so what I learned about my experience was you can get some results even when you know you're in the box, but you won't get the results that you could have got if you're out of the box. And as I stop and reflect upon the experiences that I had in Nashville, I just constantly ask myself, what if? What if I actually, because we got results, but what would have happened had I really embraced and applied an outward mindset? And the sad thing is, the world will never know, but I know it would have been better. Thank you so much for hearing my story, and have a wonderful, wonderful evening.